Bienvenidos, amigos y amigas, a un nuevo capítulo de Sin Malditas Excusas. Vamos a estar el día de hoy conversando en inglés y vamos a cambiar ahora en este momento para contarles a quién tenemos el día de hoy. Hi everyone, today we have a new chapter of the podcast No Damn Excuses. Angela said, no freaking excuses. It's an honor to have this person today on our show. Let me read about her accomplishments. Our guest today is assisting purpose-driven entrepreneurs in envisioning and constructing transformational life, work, and play destinations. A community engagement specialist with over 15 years of economic development experience in the private sector, government, and nonprofit organizations. She's an EXO Sprint certified coach, consultant, and trainer, Open EXO, and Island Innovation Ambassador. She has been part of board of directors and advisory boards. She's graduated from the University of Calgary with a bachelor's degree in business, tourism, and society management. Account manager, consultant, business development manager, general manager, co-founder, and COO, business owner as well, content strategist, and podcast host, and now the founder of Futur Ville. Do you have the courage to follow your dreams like Angela, or will you be a dreamer forever? This podcast will seek to find the truth through conversation, interviews, and constant search for wisdom so that we all can achieve our dreams. Let me welcome to the studio to Angela at this moment. Angela, how are you today?
Hey, Rodrigo. Welcome. As I mentioned, I wish I could just speak Spanish. So one day we'll get the download and I'll just be able to do that. But welcome from Canada.
Excellent, excellent. Great to have you on the show today. We have been interviewing people from everywhere. And now you're the first person that we can interview that is located in Canada. Can I ask right immediately how it is to because you were born and raised in Canada, Angela?
I was born in central Canada. I uniquely have lived pretty much coast to coast from Vancouver Island to Nova Scotia, even Newfoundland in Canada at various points. But of note, I'm also a dual citizen of Australia as well.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yes. So I was there for 7 years. Right now, back though, base camp, just 35 kilometers as the crow flies from Vancouver.
Pretty good. I must visit on some day Canada. They have talked quite good things about it. So if we start talking, Angela, and for those who doesn't know you yet, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What's your story? 15 years of experience. What have you done? In general terms, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Rodrigo. It's fun to be on this part of the podcast. Usually I'm the host, so this is a welcome opportunity. I think I would start my journey with my family and parenthood. So I have 3 parents, my 2 moms and a dad. And I think if we talk about sort of who they are, that will give you a sense of where sort of my genetics and background. So I had a farmer dad, I have a travel agent mom, and I have a mom that was an educator and small business owner. And all 3 of them were disruptors in their own right. And what I mean by that is, to give you a sense, my educator, small business owner mom, she was back in the 70s. She was the first female Rotarian in Halifax, Nova Scotia. She was one of the first, when she graduated from university, she had a couple of degrees under her belt, a master's and an undergrad. She popped out and she was the first female manager of a fish plant in Newfoundland, so a very male-dominated environment. And she was one of the first female sort of vice presidents of what was called Indian Affairs back in the early 80s. So she was very sort of disruptive in her field as a strong woman. My second mom she was at 15, she left home. She'd lost her dad. So she grew up with just her mom and her sister on a farm in England. And they, unfortunately, back in England, a woman couldn't run the farm. So Doreen, my mom, just kind of said, okay, stuff this, I'm out of here. At 15, she started working, upskilling. She started to immigrate to Australia, which is the Australian connection. And en route back to Australia, she met my dad in Canada and ended up buying a business, as a travel agent. And even though we were from a very small town of only 1,500, Vulcan, Alberta, so talk about the Star Trek connection, she introduced all of these people to places around the globe that they never would have been able to go to without their support. And my dad, of course, was an entrepreneur farmer, and a sample story of his disruption is, at the time, there was a monopoly in buying grain from Canadian farmers. The Canadian Wheat Board, the government did it. And my dad and partners bought a grain elevator and decided they were going to ship internationally to Italy in bigger markets. And that's a longer story of why that didn't work out, but just to give you a sense of my upbringing. So I went to the University of Calgary and studied tourism. It was kind of the thing to do, was get a working holiday visa. So I shipped off to Australia and ended up meeting somebody. So I stayed there, as I mentioned, for 7 years. And my work path there was amazing. I worked for the Perth International Arts Festival, and my job was sponsorship and business development. So I was the bridge between the arts and the business community. And I did that for 3 years and sort of got recruited into the sports industry again as general manager of a sports association. So we went from being almost financially bankrupt to being self-sustaining financially in 2 years under my leadership. And then, then I came back and bought commercial property. So we left I was working for the state government in Australia too, when I got headhunted and recruited to work for the state Department of Sport and Recreation in Australia. So claim to fame there was we did the state sporting facilities plan. And this was really multiple stakeholder consultation, from users to different government departments to private industry. And we put together a plan for millions of dollars in public and private funding into state level infrastructure. So it was very exciting, and left that opportunity after 5 years to pursue a dream of traveling the world. And we ended up on Vancouver Island and falling in love with the location and the destination, bought commercial property and owned and operated a guest house, which was really kind of essential in the revitalization. One of the businesses key in revitalizing downtown Nanaimo at the time. So there's a short story I'm going to talk about a little later about having a co-working space and then finding the Open EXO community. So I've gone from mostly, owning, operating, and understanding land and destination development to now consulting and coaching on it.
Amazing story, Angela. And one of the things that probably caught my attention is that all of your family members were entrepreneurs or did amazing things. And I'm wondering, why did it took you so long or so many years before you taking the initiative to start the business? I mean, you go
Great
to the
question.
like I don't know why. I mean, you have seen it. Your father's mother did it, and why didn't you start at the beginning? And you prefer like the traditional path to going to a big company, and then afterwards, many years before after, you decide to open your own company.
So that's the whole, what would I do differently? You know, if I knew what I knew today, 10 or 15 years ago,
Yeah.
first of all, I would get a business coach. That would be number one. And I don't know that the exponential organization, the thinking and the methodology, I don't think it existed at the time. And, you know, finding it has been my journey. So, you know, we had a very specific back of the napkin business plan that was executed to a T after 10 years. You know, we had the vision of, this is now going on my entrepreneurial pursuits, owning a guest house. We sort of set the vision of saying, listen, we're going to invest everything that we own. So let's say it was $1.5 million into, which is a combination of our own money and then, you know, mortgage money, community lending money, turning that into, you know, $100,000 a year wage plus the increase in equity over the property. And that's exactly, you know, and with a 10-year plan, we actually had a 12-year plan. Wow. And that was really, you know, from the age of 32 to, our plan was to, you know, have kids, raise them there. And then when the kids got a little bit older, to get out of the 24/7 of a hospitality business, which it really is. So I don't know that it was the wrong thing. It was the perfect journey to get me here. And there is nothing better as far as the life experiencing that know what it takes when, you know, all the blood, sweat, and tears of owning and operating your own business, what it feels like to write paychecks, see your staff evolve over the time that they're working with you and see where they end up in the world. I mean, you're building your own really family. And then we, again, a bit like my mom who served people, took them around the world. I mean, we serviced people from around the world because we were an international hostel and guest house. We got to serve people from all over the world. So I kind of brought the world to us while we raised a family when they were young. Now I just need to flip the tide.
Amazing.
So, and again, I think if we'd have had a business coach that was able to pull out from us what our massively transformative purpose could be, our business plan probably would have escalated faster and I wouldn't have waited the 10 years.
Totally.
But that's where I'm at now. So it's exciting. It's exciting.
And in terms of, I mean, nowadays we see that all of the investments and startups are located in Silicon Valley, USA. What about Canada? What can Canada offer to young entrepreneurs and people that is thinking in going to living a life of entrepreneurship instead of going to business college and going like the path that all of us at the beginning took? What do you think about that?
So 2 quick responses to that. One is, I do believe that we're going through geographic disruption in the world. So on a big picture level, you know, we've gone from the history has brought us to being Canadians. And I've got to say, you know, as a young person growing up in Canada in the 70s, 80s, 90s, everyone loved Canada. So as I traveled the world, it was a badge of honor to wear a Canadian flag on your backpack or in your, you know, on your suitcase. And even people who weren't Canadian but could get away with potentially looking like they're Canadian wore a Canadian flag. So, you know, we have a natural, we have a safe, we have friendly, we are sort of globally renowned for being, or historically at least, open-minded and multicultural. So that's kind of the ethnic feeling of what it's like to be Canadian. Today, I wonder if people are as tied to their geography what it means to be attached to the land versus they're really in purpose-driven communities. And there is an opportunity to potentially relocate, find them, and between, and COVID amplified that, right? As far as the ability to relocate, remote work. Now you can live, work, and play pretty much anywhere. And I'm conscious that I'm also talking about, privilege and people with resources. What we're trying to do at Futur Ville is perhaps open that up so that it's quite mainstream, that option to live and work and get training and experience in different countries around the world with future villages. So that gives you a little bit of sense of what we're up to.
Great. And I don't know if you heard about the Elon Musk now is saying all of the employees of Twitter to come back to the office, and that they need to be working practically 24/7. I mean, it's over the idea of working abroad or outside offices. Did you hear about that?
I'm not as familiar. I know what's going on over at Twitter a little bit. I'm kind of watching with interest. I think where I would challenge. How about that for a challenge for the day? Challenge Elon Musk that it is definitely possible if he attracts purpose-driven entrepreneurs who are attached to the vision and the mission because of what he's trying to accomplish, partially because when you're in a perfect purpose-driven work environment, work doesn't feel like work. It feels like play, right? It can be very exciting, and what seems to be long hours might not be that long of hours if you're playing at it. The second maybe challenge is that I think people are shifting away from the traditional sort of 9-to-5 work, work for the sake of work and a paycheck. And it's a similar theme, but people have the opportunity to have lifestyle starting today, not save your money, slave for somebody else. You can actually, align those two items, which is purpose-driven work that matters. And, again, feel like, and if you're in community, it's a great place to be.
Totally agree. Did you always wanted to study business, tourism, and society management, Angela?
That's a great question. I'm not sure that I wanted to. I was born into it. So, right, going back, I told the story about my parents, being travel agents and entrepreneurs and business. So, studying business and entrepreneurship and tourism and society, I was born into it. So, yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, totally. And at the beginning, we mentioned that you were part of two communities, which were OpenEXO and Exponential Individuals. Can you tell us a little bit about both of them and how did you get involved on those communities?
I'm like, wow, I'll try and keep this brief. But so after we did sell our business and property, by the way. So we sold the tourism business. It was a going concern. We did great. It was one of those, we made the decision to sell in June. We had sold and fast-tracked the business and the buildings within a couple of months, which rarely happens, but I know that it can. So we've gone through the process of buying, selling, recruiting investors, and selling property and businesses. And then the question for me was, what next? And I dug deep. I always make a point of when I'm making a major life shift to pause. And prior to selling the guest house, I'd been involved in a community project, which was to try and accelerate the opening of a co-working space. So the Economic Development Corporation identified this as a priority to support businesses and as a business attraction strategy. So I worked for almost a year in the due diligence of different co-working spaces and different business models in the year. And the Economic Development Corporation opened one. I waited for a year while we sold the guest house, and I realized that there was room in the market for a better experience, a more transformational experience. So I went ahead, and then my next entrepreneurial venture was being a co-founder for an entrepreneurial co-working space. 5 years, 6 years in, COVID disruption. So we were in the transactional business of selling event space, meeting space, and office space. Those did not exist, overnight. So talk about disruption. And so the next 12 to 18 months was really the process of letting the business go. I knew instantaneously that this was not going to be a 3-month disruption, as was initially, announced. I anticipated it would be 3 years. It, potentially is a little bit longer than that, but I sort of envisioned and saw that trend, how it was going to go. So I did go through the process of letting go of the business. And during this, again, major transition, I stopped and paused and did some personal development work with a business coach. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, and being much clearer in what my vision is from within, right? My inner wisdom, what was the universe delivering, and how can I turn this into an opportunity for myself? A buddy of mine, Chris Smedley, introduced me to OpenEXO. Mm-hmm. So OpenEXO, in OpenEXO, this is what I received in the first 6 months of being in that business community. First of all, I was with a community of like minds. It was fantastic just being in a safe space where I could talk about big picture, which I struggled with in my own community. And everybody there is sort of bought into the purpose of transforming the world for a better place. I've got training, I got upskilling, I now have a global network, and I learned the process and system for building exponential organizations. It was awesome. Where I found there to be a gap was that there was a lot of work to becoming an exponential organization, and I kept bumping into the roadblock of the organizational mindset is in the corporate immune system is one thing, the personal aversion and to risk and change, and the personal immune system that is resistant to change or not knowing where to starts with the individual. And I now believe that, it takes an individual or a series of individuals in order to transform an organization. So this exponential individual solution was missing. And the medium-sized business solution, they were pretty pricey, the EXO solutions. And so now I'm in the business, and the EXI initiative is really about, helping the individual first. And then Futur Ville is a solution on, helping small and medium businesses create community impact faster. And then when they get there, right, the OpenEXO community and solutions, what their niche and 15-year history is in helping the Fortune 100s. So we can help them at all levels now.
Amazing. I do have some noise on the outside, so sorry for that interruption if you heard that noise. All right, perfect. So we know a little bit about OpenEXO, exponential individuals. If we talk about, you just mentioned Futur Ville. Can you tell us what it is? How did it start? Whom else? Who is part of your team? Was it only you? Tell us everything about Futur Ville, please.
Okay, so in true exponential organization fashion, I'm going to start with the big picture, and then I'll come down to the narrow down on how. So the massively transformative purpose is imagine and build places worth living for. The massively transformative objective, which is different because an objective is measurable, is we are facilitating the design, marketing, sales, and business development of 2,000 villages of the future by 2030. That's our objective. And then our sort of market dominating position is helping entrepreneurs, 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs, build transformational live, work, and play destinations. And finally, we are the business model really is about creating compelling offers. We have 3 business models that we want to come out of the gate with. One is a multifamily home business model. One is a hotel conversion model. And one is a ranch and farmland model. Funny, right? Past. This is my past coming into the now. And starting with those 3 business models, and the idea in a nutshell, Rodrigo, is that we are creating a business accelerator where the cohort or the residents, which are a combination of in-house residents and visitors, come together in a 12-month business accelerator. And they get free food, they get free housing, and their whole entire focus is building their business. So for the participants, of course, they get free food and housing. So they get a cohort, and they're building their own community of like minds as they work on their business. They are, I'm going to read off my own list. They're going to get rapid and fast track acceleration of that business because they don't have the distractions of having to pay their bills and worry about where their food's coming from. They get the coaching, they get the training, they get the network connections within the accelerator. And the goal results for the cohort participants is that they get a self-earned living wage out of their business. And at the end of it, they've earned enough profits out of the business. That's our guarantee as part of the coaching acceleration. They've earned enough profits that they can put a down payment for the next Futur Ville. So the process builds in the flywheel, okay, for them to then contribute. If they grow their business to such a place that they need staff, this is a perfect example that their next project can actually house their own staff or train the people that they need to collaborate and be in joint venture with for their business going forward. For the property owners, okay, the compelling, there's all kinds of benefits, but depending on what their motivation is, they can attract and retain top talent with the incentives to stay in community. They can fast track the next housing project. So if some of the cohorts are local residents, the local residents who fast track their business will build the next housing project in community. They can hold their property for a better time to sell with a guaranteed buyer. And when they're ready to sell, they can cut out all the middlemen, right? So they don't have to worry about all the financing, all the realtors, all of the middlemen. They can go sell direct to the buyer. They have the option, if recruiting global talent is and building joint ventures or export markets, they can actually recruit these top talent, and they can accelerate these as people that are bought into the business because they lived and worked it for global joint venture partnerships. There's the personal legacy of fulfillment of being able to contribute and better the world. And of course, lo and behold, there is an ownership stake for the people that buy in to the actual expansion of Futur Ville, where they in the buy and hold and wholesale real estate transactions.
Amazing what Futur Ville is. Who are the coaches and the people that teach, guide all of the persons that enter to Futur Ville?
Great question. We have three parts. We have, I have a, you're never really an expert, but a First Nations chief here in Canada, Ed Champion. First of all, I'm in love with Ed. He's got a great name. He is Smart Villages Canada. He has a big dream of, again, accelerating housing projects in particularly First Nations communities or Indigenous communities, both in Canada and around the world. So it was a natural alignment for us to team up because we have a very, very similar purpose. And so we're in a joint venture arrangement to work on projects. And then I know that I can tap into other exponential individual coaches from the OpenEXO community. And I have a focus.com community of coaches and consultants who are specifically trained in profit acceleration. So their job is to, right, and we as focus.com coaches, consultants, it's a very specific training on accelerating exponentially the profits for medium businesses. So there's our medium business solution.
In terms of the purpose of Futur Ville and also the moonshot of Futur Ville, what can you tell me?
So the moonshot is to empower 1 million property owners with the exponential inspiration, training, and tools to create unique live, work, play destinations. So one of the additional supports that we're going to offer the cohorts, the people who have these destinations, is we will create, we'll work with them to make sure that whether it's the home or the hotel or the farm ranch lands, that the community that they're working with becomes a destination. So, that's part of our unique background from the destination development and the tourism background is we know what it takes to create a compelling offer and attract residents and visitors. So that's our background. So that's a value add that we can add to everybody that's actually building their businesses at the same time.
In terms of numbers, how many people have already been part of the program?
So in the focus.com. So by the way, I launched like literally 2 months ago. So we have the goal right now, the biggest challenge right now, Rodrigo, is what we're looking for is we've got the business systems on the coaching. We've got that piece solidified. We have the vision and the business model as far as, we're incorporated. We've got our business foundations, legal, the basic systems in order to invoice and set up a business. The piece that we're looking for right now is the securing the 3 properties. So we want 3 properties that we can build the case study over the next 12 months with the cohort so that we can demonstrate that, yes, we went from this, we went from, say, a $1 million property to the property itself value increased because of the work that we did in the property. We built, the cohort of 7 entrepreneurs from let's say a $1.5 or $2 million medium-sized business. We amplified their profits over this 12 months, exponentially 4 to 10 times the profit. Those are the case studies that we feel confident we can deliver on. What we need the property and we need the early stage cohorts so that when we can say, hey, we have a property in Canada, or we have a property in Africa, and we have a property in, South America. Here's the 3 who wants to sign up for the, for the accelerator. I don't think that's going to be a hard sell. It's an incredible, compelling offer for the participants. It's the property owners with the right people, with the right motivation to get invested with us. That is our now challenge.
Amazing. Is there anything else about Futur Ville that you want to mention?
I think I just want to reiterate the flywheel concept that part of the built into this model is that when we have these 3 case studies, our plan is to open source the design and the whole entire business model, because there will be people they can take and run with it. The idea of this is that it creates abundance for everybody, and that the flywheel idea, which is you take one person from the cohort and they turn around and they go build another Futureville in their village, is there's exponential growth in that because of the impact. So you take one cohort of 7, each one of them has a cohort of 7, and you can imagine that's how we're going to get to 2,000 villages in 6 years.
Perfect. What about the web page? Can you share the social media and invite everyone to visit Futur Ville to see for themselves what it is and how they can reach to you guys?
So futurville.com is the website. A confession that it was built by the focus.com team, because we offer a business in a box solution. So they literally launched it last week, Rodrigo. So you and I are in startup mode here. They literally launched it. And so it is a little cookie cutter as far as, not saying a lot of what you and I just talked about. And so it's really focused on profit acceleration. We have a digital academy, which is it's a 12-month do-it-yourself, 24/7 access to like an amazing amount of data if you are looking for just business acceleration and taking some certification and training. For anybody that's listening to this for you, I am totally happy to offer access to the Digital Academy for free. And I say, yeah, woo. The reason, by the way, it is $100 a month, so it's a $1,200 value. Here's the warning label with that. It is there's so much content there that it is quite overwhelming. And I say for free, it's like getting a free puppy. The work is in the learning. So I can offer you the Digital Academy and access to all of the learning. It is a lot of work for an individual to listen and do the work for each training module, but I'm going to offer that. Probably the best way for people to say, hell yes, I'd like access to the Digital Academy, is to just ask me for it. So if you go to futurville.com/ask, literally ask. So after the / go ASK, ask, is just say, hi, I listened to, No Damn Excuses podcast. I would love to have access to the Digital Academy. Ask me, I'll sign you up. Give us some time to actually back end and get you signed up, because it is a bit of a process. A perfect scenario would be for me to, get on a call with you, possibly, and find out what is your motivation or what is your big goal, especially if it's related to building a Futureville. That would be super valuable. But once you're signed up to the Academy, we can worry about that next. I wasn't expecting that, but that was exactly an offer I'm happy to give. And again, I think the next piece for anybody who knows a property owner that would be willing to, look at our business model, again, we just want to either direct them to that futurville.com ask, or you can connect with me in person, likely on LinkedIn. That's probably the best.
Excellent. Once again, everyone, I have a lot of background noise, so sorry about that. And Angela, I don't know, what do you think about, there's a question from the audience. I'm going to pop it up here, and I don't know if you are going to be able to read it, and probably we can answer this question. It says, from Jose Manuel. There's a lot of background noise. Sorry for that. I don't know if you can read it, probably, and I can mute myself, please.
Yes, no, I can. And I'm going to read it out loud. Hi, Jose. Lovely to meet you. Thank you for joining. You have a question. What advice can I give in times of economic recession, considering that Latin American market is very different from that of Canada? Jose, my very quick answer is absolutely the cultural and political environments of each destination plays a part in finding the right solution. So if you love the idea of the flywheel of co-housing and co-working and a business accelerator project, we need to talk about how to slightly adjust the business model to fit in Latin America. That's one. Two is, I think we've all experienced, the economy goes up and down all the time. We've hit rock bottoms before. Wearing my optimist lens, that's another sort of benefit of the Open EXO community, is so many people wear the optimist lens. They're very, I guess, developed and strategic thinking and big picture thinking. So economic reception is a down, and just like emotional downs, these are triggers and opportunities these are great times to think innovatively and strategically. So creative financing, creative solutions when you're down is a great solution. So being mindful though that when you're struggling or when you're in trauma or fear or whatever, you can't innovate. Your mind can't actually flip between the two. You need to kind of let go of the downs and the recession pieces and come back to be in a creative, innovative space. And we could do a swarm, we could do a brainstorming session on how to fast track this in Latin America. With Latin American coaches, I know a really smart one right here, Rodrigo, right? And you'll see Rodrigo and I working together again. We're working together, co-hosting a How to Uncover Your Purpose masterclass very soon. So this is just the start of our journey of working together. So if there's any other aspect of that question that I didn't answer, let me know.
Excellent, Angela. Excellent, and thank you very much for taking the lead on the podcast. I know that you have also a lot of experience. Can you tell me a little bit about that from the start? Canada podcast,
Right.
why, what, everything.
Okay, so when I had a co-working space, a colleague of mine came to me again. I had a previous iteration of Futur Ville, which was called Thrive Junction. And it was the coaching consulting arm of the kind of entrepreneurial space. And I met that person. His name is Phil Bliss. And he approached me and said, listen, we're trying to take this what was called Vancouver's podcast, started by Robert Smeagol. So Robert had a great listener base. He was really sharing the story of entrepreneurs in Vancouver so that people had greater awareness of what was happening in community. Robert had the dream of taking it national. Phil got involved and invested in this and was looking for a network of entrepreneurs across Canada. He approached me. He said, I can't think of anybody better. Who's a reasonable communicator, knows how to ask compelling questions, tell a great story from a having been an entrepreneur herself. And I said, sign me up, Phil. At the time, it was a marketing tool for me for the Network Hub. And it allowed me to get out of my community and stay in, what's going on in, across Canada beyond my small town or my hometown of Nanaimo. So that was the motivation for me at the time. Yes, our plan was to build Canada's podcast into a going concern business, but COVID disruption, again, like every business, sort of put a little bit of a stall on that. Then I met Jamie at the Podcast Accelerator, whose entire focus is building business and marketing and lead generation just from podcasting. And he gave me one amazing morsel of insight, which is how to position yourself as an expert as you are a podcast host. So one thing we haven't talked about right now is how much of an expert Rodrigo is, because he is. So, I would love to be able to talk more and bring out a little bit more Rodrigo story on a podcast and for you, because you're also amazing. And but that magic sort of one insight was enough for me to change my perspective. And now we know that we can, do podcasting and pull out the story, offering strategic sessions and watching entrepreneurs be vulnerable in podcast on what their big dream is and how they're going to get there and actually work through their problem on a podcast. So it's a shift in mindset. It's also a shift in, I just worked with a coaching client who she was prepared. She was vulnerable enough to do a podcast with me. You'll see it on my LinkedIn website and Futur Ville YouTube channel. Go there. It's really a working session. You're going to see the work and get some tools on uncovering your purpose and why that is so important as step one on your business transformation journey.
That's a great insight, Angela. And what is the link of the Canada podcast?
So literally, let me just triple check. Cite it. So Canada. I don't know if you and I can chat. Let me just see.
There's a private chat at your right.
Oh yes, there we go. It's there. Private chat. There you go.
Alrighty, and we are going to say thank you, Jose Manuel, for being here and being part of the show. And let me show everyone the banner of the podcast. We are live right now talking with Angela, the founder of Futur Ville. Alrighty, so Angela, you mentioned a little bit about exponential individuals. I don't know if you want to say something more related to exponential individuals, what it is, how can I, as a person, become an exponential individual? Is it possible? How long it's going to take me to become one? Is it something for everyone? Do I need to be special? Do I need to be an entrepreneur? Tell me a little bit, please.
So the first question that we always get is, what is an exponential entrepreneur? So why don't I start that? An exponential individual. So I'm going to start there. The short answer to no, you do not have to be an entrepreneur. You can be, in a job, you can be a student, you can be a stay-at-home parent. If you're on that journey, anybody can be an exponential individual. But here are the attributes from my perspective of an exponential individual. You feel aligned on your life purpose. Okay. You spend 80 to 90% of your awake time in a positive mindset. People describe you as open-minded, learned, and curious. You know what is an exponential organization if you're still in the stage of life that you are working. You are innately collaborative, so you live and work in community. You are 4 to 10 times more agile and resilient than others. You are actively transforming your world to a better future. This could be at home in relationships. This could be, in your workplace. This could be in your community. And you have a willingness to teach, share, and empower others to be an EXI. That's what an EXI is. Sometimes it's helpful to say what an EXI isn't. So I would say do not go on an EXI journey if you are sort of a lone wolf, like you choose working alone whenever possible. If you're controlling or overbearing, you are not a people person, meaning you really don't like them. You know that you have to deal with them, but you don't really like them. If you are comfortable and compliant with your status quo, you need to stay in your status quo. Or you're so busy that you will not invest. And by that, I mean time, the work, and in some cases, the money in self-optimization. Or you've just clearly succumbed to the Great Resignation. You're withdrawing from contributing to community. You're retiring and going to play on the golf course with no plans of giving back to community. Things like that. That's if any of those describe you, an EXI journey is not really what you're looking for. So, that sort of describes what is and what is not an EXI.
And in terms of length, is it a program? Is it a workshop? Well, what it is exactly? It's a person that is going to teach me how to be an exponential individual. I want to know more, Angela.
And I would say it's a journey. So, it is a journey. So it starts with the decision to sign up for some of those attributes that I described. And, if you're experiencing depleted energy or enthusiasm for what you do, you have a limited capacity in your workplace or environment to implement ideas that make sense because systems or policies or practices are just increasingly irrelevant or outdated. If you're working in an environment where the leadership is investing poorly in providing, or could invest way better in providing an essential needs to yourself, and you feel like you can make a difference either by learning more and applying it within that leadership team, or perhaps changing your leadership team. If you have I'll describe it as a gut feeling, unrest or uncertainty about your family's future, and you feel a little powerless to make a difference there. And if you actually have a lack of connections, you have a dream, you have that, you have a moonshot within you, but you lack the connections to achieve those bigger, bolder impacts. And if you feel connected from community and nature, if you're experiencing any of those things and you are absolutely committed to, coming up with a lifestyle and a way of being that is, more like what I described, the 80 to 90% feeling positive mindset, you need to commit now to going on an exponential journey. So
alrighty,
that's my compelling why. And then we have tools to get you there. Yeah.
And I just have added to the stream the webpage of Exponential Individuals. Another important thing to mention is that they are working on, let me check the webpage, is a playbook. They are working on a playbook that you can have to live your best life, transform the human spirit, and change the world. That sounds for me amazing. Angela, I'm gonna take you to the next chapter or topic of our program. A good friend of mine, Henry, said that this chapter should be called ping pong questions that are short answers that come to your mind. Are you prepared?
I am ready, and I have done absolutely no preparation for this, so ping pong away.
Alrighty. Cool. So the first question for Angela is, what are your learnings during COVID?
Learnings during COVID. Trust your gut, act fast. When you know that you're on the right path, shift your path.
Shift your path. What do you mean by that?
Shift your path. So I have 3 tools in my toolbox that I use on a regular basis. One is a mirror. Okay. If you are experience something negative or annoying or frustrating or anything, chances are you need to look in the mirror, and so it's internal, and you look at that and go, wow, what did that show me that I am not doing it myself? What am I not doing myself? Okay, so it's a mirror. The second is the prong. I call it the, it looks like this, right? It's the U. Oh, maybe I can't see that. It looks like an upside down wine glass. And you're holding holding this U, and externally, if you are, in COVID, for instance, it was completely outside of my control, the disruption that was happening. I had everything invested on this path. I had to completely pivot and go down a different path. And so I managed my resources. I kind of swung from this path slowly around the curve, hit rock bottom to the other path. But that is a tool when your external circumstances are beyond your control. When you're faced with those, it's to feel empowerment. So it's a tool. So one is the mirror, one is and I need to come up with a name for that.
Understood. Thank you for the acceleration. So, Angela, second, what's your purpose or massive transformative purpose?
So mine is imagine and build places worth living for.
I love it. Angela, a hard truth learned in a brutal way.
Wow. Hard truth learned in a brutal way. I would describe it as, and it comes down to core relationships, whether they're life partner, romantic, or business relationships. If somebody shows you through behavior who they are, believe them.
That's a good one. Angela, a startup company that you admire a lot.
A startup company. So I'll say probably one of my coaching clients of most recent. They are called Track Outdoors, so track.com. They first of all, they relocated to Vancouver Island. They have one of the most innovative kayaks in the world. Sea kayaks in the world. It allows you to get into destinations and places that are not otherwise accessible because of the nature of their kayak. Even though they've been in business for many years, they are perpetually in startup. So they've been in business for 16 years, but they are perpetually in startup. And then COVID hit and they had supply chain disruptions. But I have so much faith that we're going to fix the supply chain disruption challenge for them. And we're going to build these amazing sort of live, work, play, kayaking destinations in remote locations, and some of the world's most prolific and attractive sea kayaking destinations. And once they fix their problem, we're going to help do that.
Alrighty. Probably you can write the webpage and we can put it on the stream so everyone can see it. And once we have done that, I'm going to ask you, meanwhile, for all of those that are watching, we are talking with Angela from Futur Ville. Angela, what person do you admire in the business world and why?
There are many, of course. And I think how do you nut it down to one? I think one of the first books that had an impact on me young is called Loop Tale. And it's the story of a Canadian entrepreneur who has Japanese background, and we have a lot in common. So when I read his book, Loop Tale, I also learned that we have a lot of synergies and in common. And Gap Adventures, right, was the original company. And it was, as tourism was becoming, exploding and becoming a global phenomenon, the Gap Adventure was really about being immersed in the community that you were traveling to in a much deeper, more intimate way than what I call superficial tourism. And it's now called G Adventures, and the book is Loop Tale. So if I could say, the G Adventures founder, not Loop Tale, Long Tail, G Adventures. Oh my gosh, and I'm having a total mind blank on his name. I could get the book, but that's who I think is one of my earliest entrepreneurial inspirations.
Alrighty, very good. I'm gonna pop up here the previous answer that you gave us towards what startup company did you admire, so everyone can check that link as well. And don't worry about the name of the book. Everyone can Google it, I believe.
Sorry, his name is Bruce Poon Tip.
Oh, okay.
Bruce Poon Tip. That's the name of the founder of G Adventures.
Bruce, I'm gonna show it on the screen anyways, because we are live.
It's cited as the most successful travel adventure company in the world.
Amazing.
He once turned down a $70 million offer in early days to buy the business because he wanted to grow the company based on core values.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Angela, what is something that you're really excited about currently, and why?
I mean, Futur Ville, launching Futur Ville is very exciting. And next week, Rodrigo and I are hosting a masterclass together, which I'm very excited about. And we have, we have a number of people. I'm surprised at how diverse the early registrations are. So we would love to invite more people to that masterclass. And please register, even if you can't attend live, on the 16th of November, because we can send you a recorded version. It will also be on the Futur Ville LinkedIn website, so you can always access it later. So that's something I'm immediately excited about. I feel like on a deeper personal level, so a little bit vulnerable here, I recently went on an ayahuasca retreat, and it was mind-blowing. And there's a beautiful
how come
why was it mind-blowing? Great question. I'll describe it as opening a Pandora's box of personal development. It's like a physical experience of becoming an exponential individual, and what impact you want to make in the world if you go in with the right intent, right? That was my intent going in, was to sort of continue the EXI journey for myself. And it reinforces everything that, for me, that was the intent going in. And, but if you need to do some dig deeping on not being sure about what is the trigger or what's causing you disruption or unrest or insecurity, chances are it's from a childhood experience or potentially even further back. And ayahuasca helps you uncover that. So it's like psychological and counseling of 10 years in one weekend.
Weren't you scared of secondary, I don't know what can happen,
Yes, because it's illegal in Canada, right? It's
Oh.
sorry, it's not really illegal in Canada. It's in a gray zone, right? It's in a gray zone. So I think, but I was very aware that the fear that I have attached to the experience comes from social constructs, right? It comes from media and people saying, oh my gosh, this could be a terrible experience. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's natural medicine that people have used for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And there's, every Indigenous and First Nations culture with any sort of history has their own version of natural medicine. And so really what I had to let go of is all of everybody else's fear of what could go wrong in the experience, and show up with full intention. And you share that with the other people in your community that are there for this an experience. It is such a safe zone. And you need to know that you're going to be safe and that there's people there to look after you. And you need to be fully honest about any physical limitations that you have, or I'll call them, mental or physical realities that are going to jeopardize your experience. If you're not open and honest about those with your practitioners, it puts everybody at risk. There's some danger there. But if you are, fully committed, it is an amazing experience.
That sounds amazing, very interesting. Also a little bit scary, but I believe that
Yes.
you can try it one day on your life.
And one warning label about any sort of natural medicine experience is, I think you want to go into it with a proper healer and somebody who has 10 years of experience, if not more, and great awareness and experience, having monitored. Like, this is a professional. It's like going into a hospital, but now you're going into a natural healing retreat. You wouldn't want a surgeon working on you that this was their first surgery. There's a reason why you have internships and things. So you need to be really mindful about your practitioner, and don't do it alone. This is not something that is a recreational experience. If you're looking for a recreational high, there are lots of other options for you. This is a deep healing experience in community with professionals.
Excellent, Angela. Angela, what is something that you have changed your mind on in the last few years, and why?
Okay, 2020, I decided I'm going to live to be 147.
Say it again, 147? What?
Yes. So in 2020, I decided I'm going to live to be 147 because people like Peter Diamandis and David Asprey, these guys and many others are investing in anti-aging. And they said that, the person that's going to live to be 1,000 has already been born. So if they believe it and they're working on solutions for that to happen, 147 suddenly seems very, very doable. I don't have all the solutions on how, but that decision has definitely sort of made or shaped my thinking, right? Suddenly I have time and space for things to unfold. And I have, I don't have to do the, here's the job, you retire at this age, you go golfing or you go to a retirement village. Like, all of the formula disappears and it becomes part of your daily discipline. So, you think, okay, how am I going to live to be 147? And I've now got my kids regurgitating back to me when I pick up that bag of potato chips or something. They're like, Mom, that's not going to help you live to be 147. I'm like, oh, you're right. But I feel really good about this decision, so it's okay. But on healthy eating and healthy lifestyle and energy management. And ironically, if you share that story with some people, it's a great conversation starter. And I have had reactions from everything from, and I'm not going to tell you who said this, but it's somebody like I was born from, right? But he said, "You are nuts. You are insane. It cannot happen." To the curious and the, I don't understand, but why would you want to do that? The curious. To the high five, I'm in. How are we going to do this together? Response. So it's amazing. It's really a lot of fun.
Awesome. Awesome. Angela, what are the actions you're taking today that you believe are making the world a better place, and why?
So first of all, obviously contributing to the OpenEXO and the Exponential Individuals initiatives and developing solutions. My easy is communications, podcasting, articles, events. Those are easy for me. So I, again, doing what is easy for me. What I love is seeing the transformation that happens for people when they have access to abundance. So they have aha moments, right? I described it this morning, even, is empowering people through a process and guiding them through a process is what I love to do. And, what I get paid for, and, what the world needs is housing, food, and work that matters. Let's ditch all the rest, right? Like, we just don't need all the stuff. And so what do we get paid for? Well, we get paid for coaching, consulting. We do familiarization tours. So we help people design events and get people to locations. That's what we do. That's our actually offer, and that's what people pay us to do now. And, and then what's happening next for me is the real estate play. So this is that whole, wholesaling, buying and holding real estate. I just came out of a work. I've done it myself, right? I've done and bought commercial real estate. I just haven't done it on scale. So, now as I've got the awareness, the language, I've just done a training session on the buying and holding and wholesale real estate. And so those are the pieces. And eventually, this next stage, when we connect with the 3 property owners, after this podcast, I'm pretty confident that this will help us find them, we'll also be in a real estate transaction with them. And so that's the long play. That's the long nurture.
Excellent, excellent. I'm hearing now that the music outside's going really loud, so I'm going to be really quick on the last question. That is, what are your life priorities? If you had to make a list of what would be on it, and not necessarily you need to put them on order, but just mention them.
So hands down, I'm raising my children are teenagers right now. My parents, my brother, my inner 7, I have my 2 best friends who are very proximate. They're in the speed dial. If they call, I'm there, right? And so my logistically and physically, they are my priority. Number 1, my whole entire business model is built around being able to make them a priority. And of course, my OpenEXO and EXI and focused, my 3 business communities, they offer the systems, the support, the love, the acceleration that I need. And so I'm there for them too.
Excellent. Angela, we are just finishing this program. The bonus track of the program is general recommendations of books, movies, series, podcasts that you can recommend to the community.
Well, we talked about a lot of resources already, the books, the exponential organizations. If you're an organization that sees benefit in accelerating your organization with exponential solutions. And so exponential organizations, the book is a top read for organizations. On individuals, wow, there's so many. I've got to tell you right now, though, I'm like in love with Stuart Wild's. It's 33 tips to tap your inner spirit. So that's what I'm reading right now, and it is totally mesmerizing. And then from we got individuals, we got organizations, and then we have community. One of the people that I follow on a regular basis is the Destination Development Team. Let's see if I can find their, and they talk about easy wins, so quick wins, and long nurtures and destination development. Let me find them. .org. I'll find them for you. Sorry. I should have had this up my sleeve.
It's okay,
they have a whole bunch of resources for destination development. Eventually, I'll write a book on destination development for you, or for listeners.
Okay, I share it on the live chat, so everyone is going to be able to see the link, and I'm going to show it as well here as a banner, because we are live with a lot of noise outside. I don't know what they are doing.
Okay. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Alrighty. And last but not least, Angela, I would like you, if you could share a message to humankind, what would you like to say to them? And here is where I put you on the spot. And totally. First screen, this is going to be recorded until you are 147 years.
Be the future that you want to see starting today is the word of wisdom. The power, exponential power, is within you. You just need to learn how to tap it. And there are tools and support communities that will help you get there. You just have to start with believing that infinite spirit and self is within you. That's your first step.
Amazing, Angela, amazing. Thank you very much.
And let me finish with, by the way, and if you believe that, there are no damn excuses.
I really love that one. Angela, it has been a real pleasure to have you here today with us, sharing all of your 15 and plus years of experience, Futur Ville, Exponential Individuals, Canada's podcast, and all of the amazing things that you have done. Kudos to you, and see you soon. And everyone is invited to attend to the masterclass. We put the link on the chat. So if you can and could and want, please click that and see what is going on. This has been an amazing episode. Thank you very much. From Chile to the world, and from Canada, we salute you. Bye-bye.